Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody who's joined us here today at the Dragonfly Community Catch-Up. I'm here today with my colleagues Joe and Vlad, and we're going to talk today about the latest new offerings in Dragonfly. We've had a release this week, what's been happening in the community, and our top contributor of the month. But as our guest here today is Vlad. Maybe Vlad, you could just introduce yourself so we can kick it off and just tell me what you work on currently right now inside Dragonfly.
So yeah, I'm one of the developers behind Dragonfly. I've been at this team for about 2 years, actually. And I've worked on a lot of things, but one of the most exciting things that I worked on and that I'm happy to present now will be SSD tiering. And we are also continuing to improve it, so I'll be excited to show it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vlad. And we're happy to have you here today as well. So with that in mind, I'm just going to add some of our slides back up here today just to help us kind of keep on track. So this month, it's been really, really busy. As mentioned, we've had our new release version 1.2.1. So we're going to be talking about that later in the show. And we do have some new activities happening here within the Dragonfly community. So really happy to celebrate today. Just as about an hour and a half ago, we topped 25,000 GitHub stars. So thank you to all of our community for being part of Dragonfly, for contributing, for providing us feedback. And we'd love to have more people engaged with us. So if you do have any questions, feel free just to always join us on Discord. It has been very active this week. We've had lots of good conversations with our community members. Most importantly, people are sharing their stories of what they're building, what they're using Dragonfly for. And it's been a great opportunity to see people from all over the world talk to us. So thank you for being part of our community and for making us have 25,000 stars. It's been an achievement. You know, we're just over 2 years old. We're still only getting started. So we're looking forward to getting to 30,000 GitHub stars, maybe even 50 GitHub stars, maybe, who knows, even by the end of the year. So who knows, stay tuned. We also have some competitions taking place. So if you head onto the link, dragonflydb.io/community, and sign up there with your email address, just a simple form, that means you're just going to be part of our developer community and also have an opportunity to be eligible for some of the competitions we're running over the coming weeks and months. So to start that off with, we have an opportunity to win a ticket to attend KubeCon, which takes place in Utah later this year in Salt Lake City in November. And that's a full pass for the conference. You also have an opportunity to win a pass for AWS reInvent, which takes place in the first week in December in Las Vegas. To be eligible for either one of these tickets, you just need to fill in the form and be part of our Dragonfly community. We want to be able to reward our community. And so we'll be running more of these competitions for our developers out there and having an opportunity to meet you at these events, join us on the booth, come out for us for drinks, for dinners. We'd love to have the opportunity to meet you. And as we get more busier and more engaged with our community across the globe, when Joe starts meeting and traveling to some meetups, we'd love the opportunity for you to join us in any of these ways. So the reason we ask you to join our community is that we can let you know when Joe is traveling to Toronto, to Halifax later next week. We're busy on the developer track for conferences over the coming weeks and months, and we'd love the opportunity to meet up when you're there. Which actually brings me to my next point. We've got a great contributor of the month this month, and I'm going to hand over to Joe, who can tell you a bit of the work that Ayman Ben Tanfus has contributed to Dragonfly, and a little bit about the work that he has done, that we've been exceptionally proud of the work that he's contributed to Dragonfly. So over to you, Joe.
Great, thank you, Laura. So yeah, Ayman, he was the top contributor, top Dragonfly community contributor of last month. Thank you so much. And yeah, we always say, like, Dragonfly is you know, we are open source project, and we welcome contributions. You know, you're free to check out our repositories, the Dragonfly core code, the operator Dragonfly Kubernetes operator code. So yeah, and the documentation. There are many ways you can participate in this community and make this project you know, even better for you, for yourself, for us, for everyone. Right. So last month, Ayman, what he did, let me try to show you guys over here. So it's particularly about this PR in the Dragonfly operator repo, right? So so he added back the home chart release back into the CI job. So personally, I personally prefer, strongly typed languages like Go, but sometimes you get to work with YAML and, it's declarative, but sometimes it's a little bit hard to work with. The indentation, you don't really know what the environment of that runner would be, stuff like that. So it's been on and off for a while, but yeah, thank God that, we have like people like Iman, who is like a very extremely experienced DevOps engineer. He's in DevOps lead. So, I'm glad that someone else can do a much better job than not, the Dragonfly team member, but myself, like, who is not familiar with this kind of declarative um, coding, right? So yeah, so this home chart release is back in CI. Yeah, thank you so much. It's a great fix, and it makes our pipeline stronger again. And yeah, and I guess that that kind of is helpful for, I hope, Iman's own team as well, for sure. Cool, and that's his contact. If you're interested, get in touch. The Dragonfly community is always welcoming. Yeah, and thank you again for this contribution.
Thank you, Iman. And again, if you're watching this today, the t-shirt will be in the post over the next few days. It's a nice top contributor of the month. So if you want to have the next top contributor of the month t-shirt and award and be showcased on this call, let us know the stuff that you're doing and contribute back to the GitHub repository. We're always looking, and we do review all of the PRs that are submitted. So let us know what you'd like to contribute and feedback to improve Dragonfly for everybody going forward.
Great, sounds great. So should we move on to the next slide? Awesome. So next up, we're going to talk about the new release of Dragonfly, which is Dragonfly version 1.21. We have some exciting news, and we're going to go over them like one by one. So as you can see here, we have like more support for more commands and options. We have, we have the initial support for multi-tenancy, some like additional configuration flags for bulky Redis, as well as the most important feature, which is, as mentioned by Vlad, is the SSD tiering. So yeah, let's dive in. We're gonna go over them like one by one. So the first is about HSETEX. So yeah, it's a unique command in Dragonfly. Vlad, why don't you tell us about this command?
Yes, it's a unique command in Dragonfly, and it has quite an interesting story behind it. The first issue that requested support for this command appeared in Redis more than 10 years ago, and since then they didn't officially support it, but as we are developing Dragonfly, we added support for HSETEX a couple of versions ago, and now we added the NX option, which sets the value only if it doesn't exist. And what HSETEX allows us to associate an expiration time of a hash key inside some hash map, and it will automatically expire. So on the screenshot that we see, we set the expiration time for the key named key to be 5 seconds. And when we immediately after list all the keys of the hash key, we see that it has key, but if I run it then after a few seconds, it is empty. And this is a very useful feature that allows you to not pollute the global key space of Dragonfly to use expiration, but instead use local expiration in all your keys, and thus preserve a better and well-defined structure inside your application.
Great, that's awesome. And thank you, Vlad. And as you can see here, it's included in our documentation as well. So yeah, again, HSETEX is the Dragonfly specific commands. It's the great use case. If you have something that you want to expire, the individual hash fields, not the entire hash key, which is like super helpful. Yeah. So now we have the NX option, and we have like examples down here as well. Cool. Next up, we have the JSON.MERGE and JSON.MSET. Yeah, that's, I suppose, very nice additional commands to the JSON family. Yeah, over to you, Vlad, again. Yeah, please tell us more about it.
Not much to say here. We are actively trying to bridge the gap and to close all of the JSON commands. So merge and MSET, those have been quite heavy, big commands, difficult commands with many options. So merge allows you to in-merge an existing JSON tree into a JSON tree that is already stored in the database, and it allows you to efficiently partially update the JSON structure that is already stored. And mset, like the usual mset command, just allows.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, again, I want to mention that, you know, our community members are super active, like helping us, as well as, you know, monitoring the progress of Dragonfly. I remember like just a few weeks ago, when the JSON.MERGE command was first introduced, probably into the main branch, not in the release branch yet. So by then it supports only merging into the root path of the existing JSON object. So even at that time, someone was so, you know, want to try that, and they encountered, you know, this command and asking, oh, why it does only the root, because it was in progress. But as you can see, that's how active the community is. And yeah, we always love like new functionalities, new commands. So yeah, great story. Now it's fully supported, and it's in like the proper release branch. So if you want to use these commands, it's awesome. Next up, we have the multi-tenancy support. So yeah, I think that's kind of self-explanatory, but I think it could be interesting for some of you, different use cases.
Yes, there isn't much information about multi-tenancy, or how we call it, namespace support, out yet, because this feature is still in its very early stages, and it wouldn't be advised to run serious production loads with it, but it allows we support the ACL feature, ACL security, and we introduced additional options to have separate namespaces for users, which means that they can use the data store in an isolated environment, and a subset of user will only see a subset of keys, but the names can overlap. So we can have one key with the same name, and different users will see different values. It is like likewise to running multiple Dragonflies, but without of the complexity of managing multiple instances. And instead, you can just separate those logical parts in the ACL config file.
Right. Yeah, sounds great. I kind of can imagine, because a single Dragonfly instance is like super powerful if you have like a powerful multi-core machine. So maybe you have like different business units under the organization, right? So building different microservices, stuff like that. You can use the same Dragonfly, you know, the bigger instance, but with different namespaces. Yeah, and so you don't have like key collisions and stuff between different business units. But as Vlad said, this is still very early. So yeah, if you're interested, you can try it, but be caution, be very careful. If you do production, we don't recommend that yet, but maybe in a future release for sure. Next up, we have like I guess this is for compatibility reasons, or right, because from what I read from the PR, we have cluster announce IP flag, which is for cluster node, announcement. We think that it's quite similar, or exactly the same functionality with replica announcement. So we decided to consolidate these flags. So cluster announce IP and in Redis or Valkey, and replica announce IP in Redis or Valkey, they are just announce IP in Dragonfly. Similarly for port. So yeah, I guess that's places we find that we can improve to reduce the complexity to you don't have to think about two flags when you do the configuration. Just do one of them should be enough. So yeah, that again shows like we are part of the in-memory data store Redis Valkey community. So being compatible is very important for us and for developers as well, so that you have like seamless experience when running Dragonfly. Cool. Last but not least, I'm definitely gonna let Vlad talk about this, which is the most important feature of this release. It's SSD tier storage. So yeah, over to you, Vlad.
Sure. So SSD tiered storage. First, let us introduce what tiered storage means. The term is not always self-explanatory. This feature allows you to offload values inside Dragonfly into a disk storage. So those values won't be stored in RAM, not in main memory, but instead on a disk, and it should usually be backed by some speedy NVMe drive to reduce the latencies. But of course, the main goal is to allow you to store more data and more values with a limited subset of RAM. Currently, we support it only for strings, which is actually the most common use case, I would imagine. Yes, so you can, having only, for example, 10 gigabytes of RAM, you can store dozens of gigabytes of data, and contrary to fully persistent data stores, Dragonfly actually preserves sub-millisecond latency for reads in many cases. So yes, you gain high performance, but please note that it is not persistent, meaning that if your process crashes or if you have data loss due to other reasons, the stored files are not recoverable, because one of the reasons why Dragonfly keeps being fast is that it stores the key index, meaning all the keys and the information about them in main memory. So all operations first go through this key index. And we support also not only get and set, but more difficult string commands like append, which allows you to append a value, or insert, which allows you to insert a value in between, to query the string length, and to get substrings. So the full set of string commands is supported.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it's something definitely new knowledge for me as well. Now I do understand that it's it's not for persistency. It's right. It's a way to reduce the memory usage, to reduce cost, offloading some of the data to the disk, but the offloading is not for backup or for persistency reasons, right? And yeah, and we still maintain some millisecond latency. That's very important because yeah, the memory usage is like lower, but the speed is still there. Cool. So with that said, let's move on to
Just
the
on
real
that,
thing.
we've just got a
Sorry.
question coming in from the audience. So are there any limitations on the max size of a single key?
No, there shouldn't be any. So if you use the usual workload that you use, you can use it with tiering as well. Of course, beware that if you set very low RAM requirements and have a large disk size, when operating, all the values still go through RAM. So if your key is multiple gigabytes of size, then at least you should provide the same amount of memory.
Awesome, thank you. And again, if anybody else has any more questions, please just keep sending them in. We'll keep answering them as they come in. Thank you.
Awesome. So Vlad, are you ready for the demo?
Yes, sure. Let's present.
Cool. So I'm gonna share your screen right now.
Okay, so you will see my screen. I'm connected to 2 instances on Google Cloud. The upper one is where I'll be running Dragonfly. It has an NVMe drive attached to it, which offers very quick read and write performance to disk. And the lower one is just a client instance that we'll be using to connect to our upper instance. And what we'll do first is we'll run Dragonfly. You will see that it started, it runs, and we'll set a memory limit of 28 gigabytes, which is a moderate amount of memory, not quite a big workload. And what we'll do is we use our own utility, which is kind of similar to memtier, to fill up the instance with keys of the size of 1 kilobyte. So we'll set a target rate of 300 requests per second, and it'll take a few dozens of seconds. So we'll be filling up this data store, and while it's filling up, you'll see the logs on the bottom. I'll tell you about the plans. We'll then shut down this instance, but we'll save a snapshot of all the data. And what we'll do next is we'll start an instance, but with smaller memory requirements. And those smaller memory requirements, we'll see that they will allow us to fully import all the data and then run some queries on it. So we'll see it's about halfway through. When we'll be running the queries, we'll analyze what the latencies are and what target number of requests per second we can achieve. So we're almost done with filling the instance.
Awesome, almost there. It's like yesterday. Sorry. By the way, Dragonfly just hit 25K GitHub stars. So yeah, I think Laura mentioned that. So yeah, basically the marketing team or like many other team members are waiting, are waiting to hit this number last night. So kind of like what we're waiting for, exciting things to happen here as well. So cool. I think it's done now.
Yes, it's done now. We see that our insert failed, and if we query the DB size, we have, oh god, how much? 27 million keys stored inside Dragonfly, and we'll see that it takes up 24 gigabytes of space. So we'll stop the instance. I send an interrupt to it, and it will be saving now all the data. It will take around 25-30 seconds to save those dozens of gigabytes. By the way, what we are actively working on now is to even further improve our snapshotting performance for tiering, so it will more efficiently handle and batch together values.
Right. Yeah. So I remember that Dragonfly now does snapshotting around 1 gig per second. That's already like very fast if you compare with some like Redis snapshotting speed. Yeah, as Vlad said, it would be amazing that this can be even faster. I don't know how, but I would be excited to see. Cool.
So what we'll do next is we'll start Dragonfly, and contrary to the previous command, we'll set a memory budget which is half as large, so it'll have twice less memory to accommodate all the values. But what we'll use now is a new SSD tiering feature, and you'll see the flag which is listed last. It's the tiered prefix. It should point to some kind of path in your NVMe file or drive. I'll run it, NVMe file or drive, and there will be, it will create files for every thread. It will create a backing file, which is just used to store data. So we'll see that from the logs, it is loading our snapshot, and let's see, it loaded already around 13 million keys. Then what we'll do is we'll query the memory. And we'll see that our total memory usage, RSS memory, is around 13 gigabytes, which is less than the 14 gigabyte limit that we specified. And you'll see it is still loading. So it turns out that we can fit our huge 25 gigabyte data set into a smaller memory requirement. You see that it stays still at 13 gigabytes. And it finished. Let's see. It's the same number, 27 million keys. So the last step will be to run some queries. Oh, I forgot. Let's first look at some additional information. So here in our special, we have a new section for info all. I think almost everyone who uses Redis is familiar with it. And the sections, we have a new tiered section, which allows you to view some statistics about the tiered storage. And you can see that we currently store 21 million values on disk. You can see how much memory they take up. So it's, I assume, 18 gigabytes, and some auxiliary stats that we have to closely monitor it. But what we'll do now is we'll use our tool for benchmarking, and we'll run reads with the Zipfian distribution, which kind of mirrors a real workload, and we'll target 300,000 operations per second. And you'll see that we are close to it. We are reaching close speeds. So we can keep up with the required pace. And you'll see that our P99 latency, which is a very strict, like a very upper estimation, is 5 milliseconds. But as we'll see, the average and the mean latency will be much lower. It will be lower than 1 millisecond. And Roman, our main tech lead, he actually tweeted about his experiments yesterday, where he compared our new tiering feature with existing solutions which are out there, and he'll show us in all his benchmarks and examples how other solutions fail to provide low latency when reading huge volumes of data and coping with a very large number of requests per second. So we've almost run a benchmark. You can see we are running consistently at 300,000 requests per second, and if we scroll up, we see that our median latency is 300 microseconds and our average is 700. You can see it from the latency graph. So from these numbers we can conclude that to an external user there should be almost no visible effect if he runs with tiering, and as there is no visible effect and no latency spikes for him, he will see that he can reduce much of his costs by moving values to the disk. And what our tiering feature also does underneath is it tries to use the existing memory that it has, meaning the RAM memory, as efficiently as possible to accommodate the most frequently accessed keys. So if your workload is even more heavily skewed into accessing only some frequent keys, you will see that your performance won't degrade, won't drop, and you can cut back all your costs, all your RAM requirements, slash them by a factor of 2 or 5, and keep the main values just on disk without sacrificing performance, latency, or throughput.
Right. Thank you, Vlad. That's amazing. That's my second time seeing this demo. I still find, it's like the first time. It's like even the, very first, like, not official demo, but when I saw it probably on Roman's computer or something. Yeah, it's amazing. And obviously, like programming, it's always about trade-off, right? There's no silver bullet. We cannot put the whole Dragonfly dataset onto SSD and still maintain, like, the 6 million operation and very low latency. So there's definitely trade-off, but it's a great trade-off if we can maintain, like, still some millisecond latency for the hotkeys, and a lot of the data is actually offload to the disk. So yeah, I think it's quite amazing. And do you have like questions related to this yet, or
Yeah, I've got one question coming in there, folks. So I don't know which one of you want to answer, but with the improved Redis protocol compatibility in the latest version, what challenges have been addressed, and how does this benefit users migrating from Redis to Dragonfly?
Oh, I see. So that's not something directly related to tiering, but I think I can give a shot on that one. So yeah, like from day one, Dragonfly is compatible with the Redis protocol. So that means that all the client libraries, SDKs you use would work with Dragonfly. You know, the wire protocol, like how we encode different types of commands and responses, they're exactly the same, right? It's just a matter of like we spend time to catch up on the commands. So you know, a few months ago, we keep talking about this where we're at like 220, 240, 250 now. Probably, I don't have like a accurate number, but probably somewhere around like 260, 70, most commonly used Redis commands. Dragonfly, we do support those. And also Dragonfly doesn't allow you to load modules like extensions, but we do support complex data types like JSON, like, you know, those probabilistic data types, as well as search commands like natively, right? So yeah,
And
so that's,
don't forget those.
sorry, which ones?
Bloom filters.
Yeah, Bloom filters, one of my favorite. Yeah, yeah, those data filters. So you can check our documentation in terms of like what commands like we are compatible with. We have like this huge table. So yeah, we go by the community request as well. So you know, if some command is requested multiple times, you know, on GitHub issue, you know, or Discord, we know that is something probably worth, you know, prioritize. So that's why it's important for you to join the community as well. So that's the compatibility table. And then we have additional commands here as well. So that's from the command side of things. Other than that, we pay attention to migration as well. So we try different frameworks and migration tools just to make sure that they all work with Dragonfly. For instance, recently we did a blog post about using a fancy tool and very versatile tool called Redis Shake. And yeah, this tool is particularly good when you're migrating from different cloud providers, like for instance, Elasticache, you know, and it's very well written in Go, easy to compile, and you just need one config file and that's it. So yeah, give it a shot, you know, at least, you know, running Dragonfly locally if you want to give Dragonfly a shot. So yeah, I hope that answers the question about compatibility. Cool. And let's see. Back to the slides. Let's see what else we have. So yeah, I guess there's something very exciting and amazing. Yeah.
I know folks have been asking on the Discord channel today specifically, especially with the GitHub Stars announcement, if they would like to get one of these sheets of stickers, please just simply download Dragonfly, install it, and then grab a screen grab of the installation and then submit it just to that form. And then I'll post the stickers directly out to you. And then if you want to share those stickers online on LinkedIn, on social, and tag us, we'd love to see the stickers all over the world. And we've already sent 2 dozen, 3 dozen out in the last few weeks again. So please just, if you want the stickers on your laptop, want to showcase how Dragonfly gives you those wings and you don't panic when using Dragonfly, then let us know and just fill in the form and we'll get them out to you straight away. If you have any other questions, folks, please let us know. You can either ask them here today or you can join us on Discord afterwards. We're always there to help on your journey. If you run into issues, the team or the engineers specifically are always online. And we have a couple of other up and coming events for the Dragonfly community. We have a new event coming up in September. We'll get that up page on registration online later today, where we'll be hearing from Roman, our CTO, on the latest roadmap updates. And this is an exclusive event for the developer community. So again, if you've registered for those updates for the Dragonfly community, you will be invited to that event. We'd love to, at that point in time, ask you what features you have been using that you love the most, what features you are looking to see in the coming weeks and in the coming releases that you would like to see in Dragonfly. And having the opportunity to ask Roman those kind of questions ahead of time and on the call gives you a chance as the community to have a voice in the future of Dragonfly and hopefully improve your experience on your migration over to using Dragonfly. So again, head on over to dragonflydb.io/community. Just fill in the form and sign up, and we'll be sending you those updates and invites for those exclusive events over the coming weeks. I want to thank Vlad and Joe here today for taking part in our community chat. Thank you for the questions that came in through from our community. And we look forward to seeing you again next month when we have another special guest. Thank you, everybody. Take care and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.